Welcome to the Whiskey and Wisdom Podcast, coming to you from the Cargo District Recording Studios in Wilmington, North Carolina, where we discuss the most fascinating topics of life. I'm Tyler Yaw with my co-host, Chris Kellum, and each week we interview a special guest to learn how they acquired their wisdom over a glass of whiskey. So, sit back, pour yourself a glass, and enjoy Whiskey and Wisdom.
Welcome to The Last Shot. Sometimes at the end of an episode, the whiskey really starts to hit, and the guys start to get a little goofy. These are the fun conversations that you don't get to hear during the episode. I hope you enjoy The Last Shot on this wonderful weekend.
So, I have a random question before we end. What position did you play in volleyball?
So in high school, I was an outside hitter.
Okay. And
I was back, now we got to remember, this is the dark ages. Yeah, like literally, like this is pre-video, like, right? So in 1984, I was a pretty good outside hitter. I went to Redondo High in Redondo Beach, California. And I was a 6'2" outside hitter, which was pretty small even then. Now, like they're 7 feet tall, right?
Yeah, somehow everyone is over 6'8".
But I could touch, in high school, I could touch 10'6", and then in college, I eventually could touch 11 feet, which is a foot above a basketball rim.
Yeah.
So, and then very quickly when I got to college, the coach was like, "You're too small to play. They're just too big. So we're going to turn you into a setter." Mm-hmm. And I dovetail off this comment I just made. Outside hitter is a pretty aggressive, angry.
Yes.
Like you're just going to hurt somebody all the time. Then a setter has to be very cerebral and has to be in control. And so I had to mix that anger and that competitiveness and then try to become a quarterback and a coach. And it was tough. But very few people played with somebody that was as passionate as I was. I'll use that word.
Okay.
If I didn't win, it was the drywall was going to be in trouble.
Yeah,
like I was that competitive, and so I sat in college, and I played on the beach for a few years, and to very low, moderate success. My dad the reason I got in this business, my dad told me I had to get a job. He's like, "John, you really have to get a job," and I'm like, "I'm going to be a big time boy. I'm going to make all this money," and he's like, "John, you've been playing for 3 years, you're not making any money. You got to get a job." But I had a dream. And it was the most fun you could ever have traveling around playing beach volleyball. Nice. So that was the late 80s, long time ago.
You ever stop by Captain Bill's and get your feet wet?
Funny story. The closest we ever got here was Virginia Beach, but there was a couple players from here that played in a couple of the tournaments. And they were talking about it, and I'm like I'd never been here before. And so I mean, obviously growing up in Southern California, there's like, if you go to most grade schools around the country, they would have kickball, tetherball, softball, baseball, football. Mm-hmm. Like in Southern California, there's volleyball courts. I mean, there's all those other things too, but there's nets everywhere. Right, so all the kids are playing. So when I came, I'm like, wait, where's the beach? And we went down to the beach. The water was like, and I'm like, where do we play? They're like, we would play over here at this place, and we go, and it was a very controlled environment.
Yeah.
So the difference between here and Southern California is you're right on the water. If it's windy, it's windy. Mm-hmm. And so this was it's just unbelievable. Now they've opened these facilities, all over the country, and all these, like, especially back when I was playing, the girls were playing at the professional level, but there was no high school or college beach. Now it's just exploded. There's more girls playing beach volleyball than guys are. It's amazing. And you go watch them play, and it's just the level of their play is just incredible.
Yeah. My sister just graduated. She played for Averett on their volleyball team.
Okay.
And that's what I got to watch one series out of the 4 years she played, because she played through COVID. And it sucks because of the way my schedule worked out. I couldn't get up there because they are 4 hours away.
Yeah.
And that's a whole day. But it's just interesting to watch the competitive nature, but also, like you said, seeing people who learn the different skills. Like, hey, if you want to play here, you got to adapt.
Well, I coached for, I guess, 25 years, and I coached pre getting into this industry, which was in the early 90s. I coached at a Division I. I was a head coach at a small college and coaching the indoor game. And then I coached club for girls for many, many years. And it never ceased to amaze me. Like I think youth sport. There's probably still a few of them around, but back when I was coaching, there were a lot of dinosaurs who were, yelling at the kids, calling, just beating them up and calling them names. And it was amazing for me to see that some encouragement and some insight could just open a kid's eyes. If, like for me, I was an outside hitter, and I was told I wasn't asked. I was told, if you want to play, you're not.
Here's your option.
Yeah, you're not getting on the court unless you set. And I'm like, okay, well, if you're telling me that's the recipe, I'm going to go be the best chef, right? And so, like a lot of the kids today they're so amazing that I don't know what happened, but in the last 30 years, there wasn't, young ladies that were 6'3" who could move like these young ladies. And then there weren't guys that were 6'9" or 6'10" that can move. Like the athletic ability of the people playing volleyball now is like 2 or 3 times higher than the level. And I know there's probably somebody who's going to call me and say, John, come on, man, we were amazing. I'm like, yeah, it's definitely changed. It's amazing. So, yeah.
It's always fun watching like the Olympics from like the 1970s versus the Olympics now. Cause like not even just volleyball, but like basketball, especially too. Like the game of basketball has completely changed.
Yeah.
Or even within the last 10, 15 years, it's changed a lot.
Watch my middle son who's into MJ, he's also into Usain Bolt. And just watching those guys run. Yeah. And I grew up with Carl Lewis and grew up with some of the greats. And Carl still holds a couple records. He was amazing.
Yes.
But when you see Usain and those boys, it's like, it's unbelievable. Yeah. And then you're like, are they taking something? It's like, no way. The guy is so lean and clean. Yeah. And it's God's gift and also just a lot of practice.
I'm still salty that Usain didn't just go ham. Like, every time I see that video of him like coming to the end with his arms out, just chilling. Yeah. I was like, he would have set a record that no one would ever get anywhere near to if he had just pushed it all the way through. Yeah. But it also just makes me laugh. I'm like, the fact that he slowed down.
Well, I was watching this new kid the other day that's the #1 pick from France, Victor Wembanyama or whatever, basketball. Oh, yeah. He went in to dunk this ball. And he jumped, and then he took his arm, and his head is at the rim already, right? Yeah. And he took his arm, and he goes, boom, like this, and I'm like, what is that? Like,
yeah, because he's like 7 foot.
7'5".
Oh, wow.
And he can shoot it. Anyway. So, but yeah, we have some fun. We have a big Duke and Carolina. I don't have a dog in that fight.
Okay.
But I'm telling you, it's like pretty wild in our office. Like there's a lot of Dukies and a lot of Tar Heels. And so I've definitely gotten much more into ACC basketball and just ACC sports in general, and the SEC for sure. The West Coast is like UCLA, USC. If it's on, they'll watch.
Yes.
Here, it's like everybody's like waiting for the season, and they're going to it's like, it's so different here than it is on the West Coast. Everybody out there, it's important. But they'll show up to the Dodger game in the 3rd inning. Yeah. They'll leave in the 7th.
Here, it's people show up to pregame and stay through the whole entire game unless it's a blowout.
2 hours afterwards. Yes. Exactly.
I love it.
Thank you for listening to The Last Shot by Whiskey and Wisdom. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider to like and subscribe to the podcast. Can't wait to see you on the next one. Cheers.